And welcome into the rundown here on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining me this afternoon as we get you rolling along here. There is some severe weather out there, ladies and gentlemen. So, tornado watches for Fairfield County and Kershaw County. There's pretty much, if you're listening to this, you're probably dealing with a tornado watch until about 7 o'clock tonight. So, be careful out there on the roads. All right, so I've got stuff to get into today. We're going to talk about quarterbacks. That's kind of the big thing. South Carolina has a new quarterback, and they didn't have to go far to get him. A former South Carolina quarterback is not going to be playing this year, at least not going to be starting the first game of the season. And Steve Smith, I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame wide receiver in my mind, because if Steve Smith doesn't make the NFL Hall of Fame, they should burn it to the ground. He bashes another former South Carolina quarterback. We'll get into that, but I got to start today with something else. You know, you have I don't know if we should call it the SEC apocalypse, but it's kind of a world right now where college football is changing. Oklahoma and Texas are joining the SEC. I love the people that are like, well, they're not even in the South. How is that making sense? You got to look at it from this perspective. Geographics don't matter. Okay, first of all, let's put that out there. But I have an issue with certain people, including Washington State President Kirk Schultz, referring to the SEC as predatory. Look, I don't know if this whole conference expansion thing is going to work out. I have no clue. I mean, if I did, I probably wouldn't be here in Columbia, South Carolina. I would probably be in a much, much bigger city helping people with bigger mergers, etc. Okay, I don't know if it's going to work or not. But here's what I do know. If Oklahoma and Texas came to you as a conference and said, we want to join your conference, you need to do what you can to make that happen. By the way, you need to be doing whatever it is you need to do to make sure that your conference keeps superiority or keeps itself within the top echelon. So it really bothers me when people are like, the SEC is just going after teams from the Big 12, when other conferences do this too. Let's just slow our roll just a little bit when it comes to that, because it doesn't make any sense. Teams are going to, or schools are going to go where they want to go. And that's just the way that it is. But I don't understand why people are upset. If the ACC decided, hey, we want to go and try to make a counter move to this, go to Ohio State. You add Ohio State as a football school, that's going to open some eyes. Go to Notre Dame. Get them to join your conference as a football school. There are no rules here. There's nothing that says that you can't go and put out conversations to say, hey, we want to add these perennial college football powers to our conference. There's nothing that says you can't do that. Now, and I know people are like, there's buyouts here and there's buyouts there. Do you really think anyone actually cares? Seriously. We watched, what was it, last week, when the president of Texas, of the University of Texas, basically went into the Texas legislature and got his face basically kicked in by everybody, and it didn't matter. He didn't care. They were mocking him about having a losing record to TCU. In the end, none of it matters. It's all a pride thing. It's all a what can you stomach type thing. And I know that sounds silly, but, I have to play this clip again. This is Lois Clohort's Lois Clohorts is a state senator from Texas. Here's what the exchange that she had with the president of the University of Texas.
But what's your athletic budget?
It's over $200 million. It's probably 220, 225 in that range.
Where does that put you in the U.S.?
Depending on how you count, probably first.
And that's without a winning football team of late.
It's in spite of our football team. We've been winning, just not like we like to win.
3-7 against the Horned Frogs. So maybe your fan base would rather lose to Alabama than TCU. So
let's make sure we have the understanding of what's going on there. The state senator from Texas is basically beating the face in of the president of the University of Texas about their football program, with the commissioner from the Big 12 sitting behind him, scowling, looking at him like, oh man, you can't come to the treehouse anymore. You're not going to get invited to Sunday barbecue. The reality is that no one cares. The money part of it, no one cares. I will be shocked if Texas and Oklahoma are not on the schedule for the SEC next year. I think they'll join the conference next year. But people that are saying the SEC is predatory, what kind of life do you have? Do you not understand that if that kind of opportunity comes your way, what was Greg Sankey supposed to do? Oklahoma and Texas comes to him and he's supposed to just step back and say, you know what? I think the president of Washington State is going to call our conference predatory. So I don't think that you should join our conference because of that. We have a society of just people that are just, I mean, I don't even know the term that I can use here. It's a mess. 803-978-1832. Out to the phones. And welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hi, how you doing, man? It's a Clemson Tiger fan.
Hey, buddy, what's up?
What's up? I see you titled this one QB Talk.
I do have QB Talk today.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you a little question. What are your thoughts on JT Daniels?
I think that JT Daniels he played okay when he was at Southern Cal. I think he is a monumental upgrade over every quarterback that Georgia had on their roster last year. They may end up with some better guys this year, but I don't think he played very well the last 5 games of the season. But I don't think that I think he has the potential to be an average SEC quarterback, in my opinion. The idea that he could be a guy that could get into the Heisman talk is kind of laughable to me. If you watch any of his games, he has the capability to make some plays, but then he overthrows balls. It seems like his timing is off. I mean, there's just, when you see a quarterback that can actually get in and command a huddle and make the throws, you just know it. And I don't really have that from JT Daniels.
See, I don't either. Like, everybody's comparing JT Daniels and DJ Uiagalelei, and I don't really see in my opinion, there's no comparison. I think DJ, we've seen him play 2 games, but if you take away the USC stuff where he transferred from, which wasn't a great season there, he played 5 games, and that's not many more than DJ. DJ played 2, and DJ played 1 really tough game where he ended up losing. But if any football fan will tell you that he did not lose that game, or injuries on defense lost that game, I don't know if Trevor would have won us that game, as bad as our defense played and as injured as we were. Also,
I think the sample size is too small on Uiagalelei to make a great comparison there. I mean, 2 games isn't enough to sit here and say, okay, he's just going to be better than everybody else. I've seen enough tape on JT Daniels to make, you can make a rational choice with him. I think he's great for Georgia, but I think he's an average SEC quarterback at best.
Now, do you think he's the piece that will put like you see that Caden Smith, he'll be the better QB on the field to going forward.
Right.
Do you think that he is the reason Georgia's going to win that football game? I don't think so at all.
If we're talking about just that football game, let's make sure we understand. Georgia has a hell of a defense. Okay?
Yes, and so do we.
They have a hell of a defense. They've got the rebuilt secondary. I think that's something that if you're a Georgia fan, that has to concern you a little bit. But you could talk a little bit about where they're going to where they're going to throw the ball to. But as far as they've got talent on top of talent on top of talent at Georgia, they could literally, if they can run the ball against Clemson, they may not need much against JT Daniels from JT Daniels. So, I mean, Georgia has just a ton of talent. So it's hard for me to say that he may be the missing piece.
I agree. Georgia's definitely, of course, got an amazing defensive line. But if there's a defensive line that's better, it's Clemson's defensive line. I mean, they might even be better than the Power Rangers in 2018. This defensive line
the Power Rangers may, but put that out on the field. That's what you have to get from the defensive line, and I get that. But they have the potential to be great. And there's guys that have already gone out there and done some great stuff. But when you look at the last 3 times Clemson's played against a high-powered offense, they got lit up like a Christmas tree. I mean, and that's something that Brent Venables has to carry with him. And that's just the way that it is. Now, I don't know if Georgia has a high-powered offense yet. I really don't. But in theory, when you step back and look at it, those last 3 games Clemson's played where, in the CFP, they've gotten thrown on a good bit. And that's a problem. So,
but if you look at the teams they played, Ohio State, that was they just absolutely dominated. They dominated us. I don't know what. There's no excuses with that one. We just got absolutely wrecked. Same with LSU. But look at the teams that they did play. I mean, we didn't see Georgia play against them. They would have done the same thing to Georgia. Like you're going to tell me LSU wouldn't have done the same thing to Georgia?
LSU did the same thing to Georgia. They blew them out.
Exactly.
So yeah,
exactly.
I'm giving you both perspectives on it. Okay. I mean, I think that when you look at when Clemson has to play an offense that has talent behind it, the last 3 times that's happened, they've had some issues. I mean, Boston College lit them up in Death Valley. I mean, and they're not considered an offensive power in their own right. So
no, not at all.
You just have to look at it from across the board here. And if you're being objective, you have to give credit to the Georgia defense. And I think that the Georgia defense is going to be pretty good. It's going to be the biggest test that Clemson will have all season.
Oh yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. But I just think when you're looking at the Boston College game, we're going into this game healthy. Boston College and that Notre Dame game, we were not healthy. Even in the Ohio State game, we weren't really fully healthy. I mean, that whole year last year, we were pretty banged up. This year, we've got Brzee coming back, Miles Murphy, Tyler Davis coming back, plus we've got Justin Foster coming back, and XT, which the coaches are raving on, saying he's actually looking like this is the best he's ever been. So that's starting 4, XT, Tyler Davis, Brian Brzee, and Miles Murphy. I mean, what 4 defensive linemen could you go up against as an offensive lineman in practice? And they're going up against that offensive line that defensive line every day.
You're forgetting Justin Foster, who didn't come back to sit on the bench and who is really good in his own right. But hey, man, I appreciate you calling, but I've got more callers on the line. I want to move on. Okay.
Hey, you have a good one, man.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. All right, back out to the phone.
Yep. See you.
Welcome to the rundown. Good afternoon.
How you doing, buddy?
Hey, man. What's up?
Good. I tuned into your show here, and I want to tell you, I'm a Clemson fan. But if you remember back, everybody was talking about Clemson, Alabama. About Alabama was the greatest cream, the greatest team. Had 2 of, I don't know who the quarterback was. Supposed to be the greatest team ever.
Clemson went back and spanked. Yep. You're right about that.
And Clemson spanked their butt with Trevor Lawrence. and they had the same secondary and everything. But it just goes to show anybody can beat anybody. I don't care who it is. And that's all I got to say. And I enjoy your show, buddy.
Hey, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you're right about that. I'm just saying, if you're objective, you got to look at it from the perspective of the last 3 CFP matchups Clemson's had. They've had some issues. I mean, Ohio State scored again. Brent Venables is having nightmares about Olave and Justin Fields. And that's just the truth. Now, I understand that there's issues in the secondary and there's guys that are hurt and all that. I'm a guy that looks at the stats, though. You got lit up by Ohio State, lit up by LSU, lit up by Ohio State in the matchup before. I'm just saying, you just got to be honest with yourself here. And let's also put this out there. Clemson has such a huge talent divide between themselves and the rest of the ACC that it's almost like every week is a game that is a tune-up for this season. It may be for the ACC championship game because North Carolina is a pretty good team. I think they're going to be the ones that come out of the Coastal. It's all a warm-up for that. Yes, the Georgia matchup is going to be tough. But it would not surprise me if Clemson was a double-digit favorite the rest of the way after that Georgia matchup. One more call before we go to a break. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, I was listening to your show.
Yeah, man, what's up?
Why does Clemson get held to a higher standard than a lot of other programs around the country?
That's what happens when you're on top. Everyone wants to throw rocks at the throne. They throw them at Alabama. They throw them at everybody when you're up there.
I mean, LSU boat raced Alabama and won. They won the national championship. Clemson came in second in the country. I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of.
That's not, and I'm not saying that it wasn't a good team. I'm just saying that the defense in that game, they got a lot of points scored on them. That's all I'm saying. And the same thing with the Ohio State game for last year. So when you have that kind of talent on that offensive side of the ball, the last 3 times that Clemson has faced top-level talent with a top-level type offense, they've had some issues. And that's a ghost they have to shake in Charlotte.
Over Dabo's tenure, he's only got boat raced 3 times. That was West Virginia, LSU, and Ohio State. And all 3 of those teams are really good teams.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Because Tommy Bowden was getting boat raced every other weekend.
I want to make sure I'm not saying that Clemson's not a good team. I'm just saying that the defensive effort that they had in those 3 games is not very Brent Venables like. It's not what you expect from a defense led by Brent Venables.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
But again, you got both of those quarterbacks were picked in the first round. They're going to be good quarterbacks.
Right.
It wasn't like it was Ian Book doing it.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean?
And Ian Book was a good quarterback for Notre Dame too. So
yeah, he was a good quarterback. He just wasn't on their level.
I think that JT Daniels may end up having the Ian Book type career. He'll be a good college quarterback, and then we'll be reading about him backing up someone in.
Because Justin Fields showed me something in that game. He got drilled in that game, and came back and was absolutely perfect.
Well, Justin Fields is a heck of a quarterback. I mean,
he is.
You can make an argument that if he were at Georgia would have a national championship under his watch. Kirby Smart couldn't keep him there. I mean, that's basically what it boils down to. And it comes back to the coaching staff. People are like, well, this happened. Yeah, but the coaches can keep the guys there. That's part of the job. Everything, you get paid millions and millions of dollars. It all falls back on you. Simple as that.
The past week, it seems like Georgia has been crying about the wide receivers every other day. Are they trying to come up with an excuse before the game even kicks off?
I don't know. I think that, Georgia did lose a guy that is probably going to be a first-round pick. And, it's all part of the conversation. Pickens is a great player.
Yeah.
Gilbert,
great talent.
If he can get his head screwed on right, he would have been a huge piece for them. But the reality is, and I've said this for a while now, Georgia has top talent everywhere. You got 4 and 5 star guys that are all over that wide receiver core. I don't know. I don't know what people want. I mean, they've got plenty of talent there. So,
well, maybe they don't have a 5-star coach.
maybe that's the problem. I don't know. We shall
Maybe
see.
they got a 5-star defense coordinator.
He can bring the guys
he can bring them in.
I mean, that's part of it. So,
all right, man. Well, thank you.
all right, there you go. Thanks so much. All right, 803-978-1832. If you want to talk about that, we can get into that. Let's see here. Some comments. Realistic One says he can't wait to see the chat room after the first game. Yeah, you can follow along in the chat room. Go and check it out. It's on the Fox Sports Radio 1400 Facebook page. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have more for you here on the Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. I didn't mean to leave my Zaxby's bag. I was meant to throw that away. Sorry, guys. Brandon asked if I think that Luke Doty will be back by the East Carolina game. I know that when he came out to meet the media today, he was in a cast and he was on one of those wheelie things. I don't know how that's gonna work, to be honest. Yes, I start training again here Monday for my next meet. So I can have some Zaxby's before then. Rundown, what's your first name? Hey, Rich, hold on. All right, we'll get right to you. How much weight have I gained back, Jimmy? None. I think I haven't gotten on the scale. I mean, I think I might maybe gain 4 pounds. I don't know. Do I look like I'm more chunky today? I don't know, man. No, I got a kicking chicken sandwich. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, I won my the weightlifting contest that I was in. I won my division, won a nice big award, big medal that my daughter took for me, which is kind of funny. Thank you, Brandon. Only Jimmy thinks I've gained like a ton of weight. Look, I'm never going to run around and be like some skinny guy. That's not happening. That's not happening at all. That's why I like to power lift, because you can be chunky and get away with it. I like to pick up heavy things. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Rich, what do you got for the show, man?
So you're talking about quarterbacks. What about Jerkovic from Boston College? Now,
we got a chance to interview Jerkovic up at ACC kickoff, and I think he is going to be a very, very good quarterback for them. I mean, he is a big kid that can he took some shots in that Clemson game last year and kept getting up and going back after it. So I really like Jerkovic a lot.
I think he's kind of like Brady. He came out of college, nobody knew anything about him, and he got in the NFL. He was great. I think he's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. I really do, and I think he's going to surprise people this year. It's one of the few little gems that nobody knows him really, and you just sit and watch him. He's going to be really good. So I'm not I'm a big Jerkovic fan. I'm just saying, when I watched him play us, and I watched him play, because after that I was like, right, who is this guy? I mean, really something else. He's better than you think, much better than people realize. And they could scare us this year.
Yeah, Boston College could be interesting. Coach Halfley up there, we got a chance to interview him too. And when you talk to him, man, everything is around, we have a purpose. This is what we're trying to do. You can just see, even when he interacted with the kids that were up there, you could tell he's just a leader of men. He's a young guy. And I think Jerkovich is the kid transferred from Notre Dame out to Boston College. And he told us, he said, we asked him why he picked Boston College. And he said it was one of the 3 schools that he knew that he could go in and have an opportunity to play. So
he's a smart kid. That's the difference. I mean, he's a smart person, and that's why he went there. He knew, he saw it. He knows the coach isn't stupid either.
Yeah, you're right about that. But I mean, I think he has the potential to be one of the top 4 quarterbacks in the ACC.
Yep.
I think, you got to look at Uwe Ungalale, you got to look at Sam Howell, and then King from Miami. But then I think right there, I mean, I think he may end up with more passing yards than King this year.
Yeah, he may even, because we're going to probably put Ungalale on hold half the game, so he may even go past him. To be honest, he's going to look good. So I just wanted to bring it up because we're talking quarterbacks, and everybody should hear about him and then watch and enjoy. It'll be great time. I'll let you get to some other callers, man.
Appreciate
Good
it, man.
talk to you.
Thanks so much.
All right.
803-978-1832. We are talking about quarterbacks today, and I got to bring this up. Northwestern. Why are we talking about Northwestern? Clemson fans, remember Hunter Johnson, the guy that Coach Dabo Swinney said he thought had a chance to play in the NFL before he transferred out. He goes to Northwestern and beats out former Gamecock quarterback Ryan Helinski. So with that, he's going to take over for him up there. And I tell you what, that was one of the more interesting quarterback spots. And if you're here in the Palmetto State, you watch those things and you're like, I thought, just to be honest, I thought Ryan Helinski got completely screwed over by Mike Bobo and the dog crap program that they had going down there. I don't think he got a fair shot. That's just my opinion. He's light years better than Colin Hill was. I don't think he was really given a chance to do that and get out there and throw the ball around. And I think Will Muschamp was too silly to, go and question Mike Bobo. But they've all moved on now. But I thought that Ryan Helinski, especially after watching him light up Nick Saban, not very many people do what Ryan Helinski did. Yeah, the Gamecocks lost, but he threw the ball all over the field. Now, I know a lot of those yards you could say were in garbage time, but you still have to make those throws. He goes up to Northwestern as a transfer, loses out to Hunter Johnson. I don't know if he's going to transfer or not, but he's only listed as a sophomore. Johnson's a senior, and he may have to sit behind Johnson 1 year and then get a chance to play. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen there, but one Clemson quarterback goes up there and was highly touted by Coach Swinney and left after the 2017 season. He's going to get his chance up there at Northwestern. Another note on Gamecock quarterbacks, they had turned graduate assistant Zeb Nolan into a quarterback for South Carolina. He transferred to North Dakota State, spent 2 seasons at Iowa State, then transferred to North Dakota State. He was on, Doty came in today, was on like one of those wheelchair type things, had his leg wrapped up in a cast. Maybe there's more to the Doty side of the injury than we know. Maybe that's part of it. We shall see. But it's interesting that they make this young man come onto the field and give him some time. They talked about having to carry on Joyner there. Joyner, on the other hand, taking some snaps at quarterback. Yeah. Quarterback room kind of thin down there for South Carolina. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. More of the rundown when we return right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. All right, is my sound fixed, man? I bought like this brand new computer, guys, and I think I've got everything set up, but can you guys hear me over there? I think you can't. You should be able to hear me now, but it's a mess. Oh, as far as Uyunglele, it's hard for me to determine that because he's only going to be at Clemson for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. And I don't know if he's going to have enough time to put up great numbers. He can win 2 national titles if the things go right. Yeah, I'm working with my engineers on this my soundboard, and it's silly. Alan Muschamp can't write. Come on, man. No, Uyunglele has this year and next year. That's all he's got. The Tebow thing's hilarious. I'm in the camp of just stop. I don't think Arch Manning's a lock for anyone. I think he's going to take all of his visits, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to LSU. I can tell you, I don't think he's going to Tennessee. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he goes to LSU. We'll see, but
Sports Radio, Fox Attitude. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400.
welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. You know, we're talking about quarterbacks today. And DJ Uyunglele, I'm really working hard on that. It's hard. For some reason, my brain just doesn't function on that. I'm getting there, though. Anyway, Colin Cowherd made some comments about him and said that the only thing that he needs to take care of is putting touch on the ball. Everything he throws is a fastball. You know, if that's the biggest problem you got, is that you're accurate, but you throw the ball too hard, okay, we'll work around that. We'll see how that works out. One other note on quarterbacks here. South Carolina graduate assistant Zeb Nolan, as I said, is going to be in the quarterback mix there. the transfer from North Dakota State. And Steve Smith, the wide receiver, the former wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers, Baltimore Ravens, said he wasn't very high on now South Alabama quarterback Jake Bentley. Smith said he criticized Bentley for awful football during the quarterback's time with the Utes. Jake Bentley came to Utah. It was awful. I know this is supposed to be a talk about the Panthers, but I'm going to be honest. I was watching that game in Utah when he was out there and went to practice. He was awful in practice, and for some reason, thought he was going to be better in the game. God bless him, but football is not his sport. Ouch. Way to kick a kid in college there, Steve Smith. Hopefully he's not listening because he might come in the door and decide to beat my face in. Steve Smith is a legend, in my opinion, on the football field. But his off-the-field stuff is even funnier. Fighting teammates, et cetera, et cetera. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. You know, we got to talk about Tim Tebow for a second. The Jacksonville Jaguars had their first preseason game. And if you watched, it turned out bad for Tim Tebow. Absolutely bad. I don't know. Here's the thing. He had that relationship with Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer brought him in. And I think that the silly thing about all of this is, did anybody really think, hey, this guy's going to make the team? 8 years away from the the NFL life, basically. Out there playing baseball. Your body's got to change from being a baseball player to a football player. There were talks that he looked like he'd done the working out, though. He looked great as far as just being an athlete. But on the field, not so much. Not so much. You want to know the silly thing, though? Is that they sold a ton of merchandise with Tebow's name on it. Absolute ton of merchandise. And the sad thing is that there were people that were thinking, oh, Tim Tebow is going to make the team. If you watch any football at all, you knew the chances of him making that team were slim to none. Now, and let's also put this into perspective. The Jacksonville Jaguars roster is rated as one of the weakest in the NFL. He couldn't make it through the second set of cuts on the weakest roster in the NFL. Tim Tebow needs to, I understand you have a dream and you want to try to live that out. But someone needs to tell Tim Tebow, hey, it's time to hang it up, man. I do think, though, that if we had like a spring football league like the XFL or the American Football League or whatever it is that they call it, if Tim Tebow wants to play quarterback, if I am some owner of that league, I'm going to go get Tim Tebow and tell him, hey, come here and I'll make you my quarterback. He's a great Saturday player, but on Sundays, not so much. But you want to know why Tim Tebow gets all of the coverage that he gets? And if you don't believe me, ask anyone that went to a Fireflies game when he was playing for the Fireflies. He had soccer moms on the first and third base line losing their minds to try to get a picture of Tim Tebow. The soccer moms love him. And that's the absolute truth. If you're a soccer mom and listen to this show, you're probably a Tim Tebow fan. You're probably one of those people who bought you a Tim Tebow Jaguars jersey. And that's just the way that it is. He was average in baseball. He hasn't been above average since he left Florida. Now, I know people are going to be like, but Tim Tebow's a great person. Man, there are great people everywhere. I know tons and tons and tons of great people. Let's just stop with this illusion that Tim Tebow is going to be the guy that he's just going to get up and overcome everything. Father Time wins, ladies and gentlemen, every single time. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Huffer Billy Paul says, I'm sorry. Clemson Tiger fan says he wasn't that bad on the Broncos, just couldn't pass on Manning. David says, I'm not a good person. I can't use the term that he was throwing at me there. David must have went and bought himself a Tim Tebow jersey. He probably went for the trifecta. He bought the home jersey, the away jersey, and the alternate jersey, which is so ugly that you can't even cut grass in the damn thing because your neighbors will throw rocks at you until they see it's a Tim Tebow jersey, and then they won't. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown this afternoon, right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, around the world on the iHeart Radio app. If you want to get involved with the program today, have at it. We're getting closer and closer to football season. We got some week 0 games coming up. Got high school games coming up too. Yeah, all kinds of good stuff. Brandon wants to know if I think it was a steal for the Panthers getting Terrence Marshall Jr. in the second round of the draft. Well, we'll see. You never know until these guys get out on the field and line up, man. The only thing that I'm sure of with the Carolina Panthers, because I trust my buddy, Will Pelagic from WFNZ up in Charlotte, is that J.C. Horn has more than earned his spot as a rookie up there, and he's going to be what they build that defense around for the Carolina Panthers. I truly believe that. And people are going to be talking about J.C. Horn and how great he was, and then they're going to be like, he didn't do much at South Carolina. That's because they didn't throw the ball to his side of the field. He's probably one of the great things from the Will Muschamp era. Quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show. This is the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Pendleton's going to stomp Clinton, dude. Pendleton's really good, Brandon, if I remember right. How many games do you go to every year, Brandon? You go to all the Clinton games, right? The Falcons are going to be interesting. Their fans hate Matt Ryan, Steve. They hate Matt Ryan, but you never know, man. John Elway has a horse face. Vodka drinker. I don't know. I don't know if what he wrote was true or not. They weren't, Edwin. Hernandez did. Final segment of the rundown this afternoon here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Really quick with the Tim Tebow thing. One last thing there. Tim Tebow was a guy that ended up taking up a roster spot. If you're a Jaguar season ticket holder, you're going to hold that against Urban Meyer for later on? I'm just saying. Funny how that works out. Sold a lot of merchandise, but didn't do much with it after that. If you look at some of there was 2 different blocks that they isolated he was supposed to make. Did not work out well for him. All right, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the rundown this afternoon on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, a podcast will be up for the show this afternoon about 5 o'clock. In case you missed it, don't worry. It's right there for you. You can download and listen whenever you want. Someone says, does this mean Tebow's going to be on College Game Day? I'm sure he's already made that call. And if I'm ESPN, I want him on game day. I want him wherever. Because he signs with the Jaguars and he leads the league as far as merchandise sales, or was right there with it. They sold more Tim Tebow jerseys, I think, than they sold Travis Etienne jerseys. So there's that. The guy is, as they say in wrestling, he's a draw, ladies and gentlemen. He's a draw. All right. So if you want to take calls on that, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. One of the other things I think is going to be coming up for the next couple of weeks is Deshaun Watson is going to be on the move. And I'm wondering where he's going to end up. We talk a lot about the Carolina Panthers were right there in the mix. I'm not sure they're sold completely on Sam Darnold at quarterback. I'm not sure. He's a youngin', but I'm not sure they're sold on him. You know what you get on the field with Deshaun Watson. Now, you're willing to take the beating, the PR beating, which is going to be there. Yeah, getting Deshaun Watson is great. Me personally, though, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, there's talk that he might end up there. Do you want to know the one place he would go that he would go there and nobody would say a word? It would just be Deshaun Watson out there doing his thing. Up there with the hoodie with Bill Belichick up in New England. I think that's not that far-fetched. I know that, they drafted Mac Jones and everybody loves Mac Jones. Look, deep down in places you don't want to talk about, if they have the opportunity to get Deshaun Watson for a reasonable price, Bill Belichick will make that move quick. The New Orleans Saints are another team that would have, I think, a huge interest in Deshaun Watson. They're dealing with Jameis Winston, who I think is going to be a monumental failure. Saints fans, by the way, man, they're so passionate about I've got like 3 or 4 Saints fans that have argued with me online about the stuff with Jameis Winston. Oh, he was under the learning tree of Drew Brees for a long, and Drew Brees fixed him. Really? Really? You've been spoiled so long having Drew Brees as your quarterback. When Jameis Winston goes out there, he's going to hurt feelings. I really believe that. (803-978-1832), 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the rundown this afternoon. As we're dealing with tornadoes, a tornado warning, a tornado watch issued pretty much across the state of South Carolina. So be careful with all that. Ryan online says he's hearing Hunter Johnson starting over Helinski at Northwestern. Yeah. I said point blank that we talked about that earlier. I think that he didn't have enough time to get into the system up there at Northwestern. And to be completely honest, Hunter Johnson's been there. I think with that happening, Coach Fitzgerald up there, I think he'd rather go with the guy that he knows more about. Hunter Johnson's played for them before. Anyway, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Tater Lord Online says Clemson is the new quarterback U. Yeah, they've had some good quarterbacks here lately. You have to think that after you've had such good quarterbacks for so long, how spoiled are you going to be if one quarterback comes in and doesn't quite live up to that level? Because let's be honest, there was no drop-off from Trevor Lawrence from Deshaun Watson to Trevor Lawrence. There really wasn't. You had the year of Kelly Bryant in there, but in reality, Trevor Lawrence was outstanding. First pick in the draft. Deshaun Watson, as great as he was. Taj Boyd was a great quarterback. Didn't really have the NFL career, but still a great quarterback. Clemson's had a string of really good quarterbacks up there. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Tomorrow on the program, we are working on several different things. Trying to book some guests for tomorrow. But we'll have all that for you tomorrow on the rundown. Don't forget my buddy, Lawton Swan of Clemson Sports Talk. He is next. He'll have all the great stuff for you here.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Everyone loves the Swan. Everyone loves the Swan. Tomorrow, we might talk a little bit about what the state newspaper said, that the Gamecock Mount Rushmore, they were talking about people submitting stuff there. Might get into that, too, later on. By the way, the blog page is up. Don't forget that. It's at foxsportsradio1400.com. I had the information earlier today when they made the announcement on Hunter Johnson. All of that was up for you on the blog page, including the story I had a couple of days ago about the University of Texas. Their stadium looks like it has a female reproductive organ built into the stands. Go and check that out. And people are making fun of it, basically saying the Longhorns are running out of a uterus. No, I'm just telling you what's been written, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not trying to be over the top with it, but it's out there. 803-978-1832 if you want to join us before we get out of here today. Tomorrow we'll have a full practice report for you as well. Both Clemson and South Carolina, I believe, are on the practice field today. We'll get you the latest from camps. As man, we're like right here with it, brother. I think classes start for South Carolina, Wednesday, Thursday? Yeah, it's not that far off. Once the classes start, man, it's we're right here. We got the first week of games is a week from this Saturday. So 2 weeks from this Saturday is September the 4th, and it's game day, man. Game day with Eastern Illinois and South Carolina, Georgia and Clemson, and a slew of other good matchups. I'm looking forward to some of these early season matchups too. Tennessee playing Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh's going to bring a humbling to Tennessee. I really do. But NC State and Mississippi State, that'll be a good matchup. Lots of good early matchups before we get into conference play. Really, really looking forward to it as we are almost there. The talking season is just about over. All right, podcast is up at 5 today. Thank you guys for downloading that and checking it out. All the dumb things that I say are on the podcast and documented for all time. All right, thanks for checking out the show today. We will see you tomorrow on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. All right, you guys are awesome over there, man. We'll see you later on.